Okay, so we are here with Association Chat. I am so lucky, so excited to be here with Paul King. Paul King is a videographer. Paul, you have your own company. You are out there making great content, and you just actually helped me with this fantastic project we were working on at ASAE Annual in Columbus, Ohio. I am so excited to talk to you today about all things video. Hi, Paul. Welcome.
So fun. So thrilled to be here. Thanks for having me, Kiki.
Yeah. Well, okay. So let's talk about it. You were in Columbus, Ohio. In Columbus, Ohio, that's not you're not in unfamiliar territory there.
Yeah, I grew up in Ohio, born and raised in Ohio. So getting back to the Midwest always has a special place in my heart.
Well, I was really excited that you're going to be there because it ended up being a fortuitous arrangement since we were able to work together. And you were going around with we had our virtual MC Tom Singer, who fantastic guy. What'd you think of Tom?
Tom is truly a natural. I was super impressed how comfortable he was just snagging people and hopping in front of the camera and asking them questions. It was fun to work with someone like Tom. He's great at what he does.
Yeah, I thought that you guys were like this magic team. And so every time I saw a video coming in, I was so excited to see what it was going to be about and who you were talking to and your camera work. Oh my God. I mean, I know to expect it, but I mean, you had while the shot was going on, while he was capturing information, of course, you ended up having, you would go to their websites or you would go to different angles, and it was beautiful. And I don't understand all the magic that went into that, but I want to talk about that today. And I also want to talk about some other questions that I think people usually have about video content and really how can you, okay, how can you make the most of it? What do you need to know going into it? And what are some tricks for those of us who want to not just not just use what we get. So say we get beautiful video from you, but also when we're out and about and we have an opportunity in front of us, how can we make the most of that opportunity and capture great videos? So what do you think? Let's talk about it.
I love talking about video. I eat, breathe, and sleep video. So anything specific we can dive into, I would love to talk all things video.
Okay, so I have, and I see we have a guest. I do have some questions over here that if you want to check out the questions, if you're listening, watching live on Crowdcast, you can upvote the questions that you're the most interested in. But let's go ahead and start with the number one question, the first question that we have, which is what is the number one thing that you recommend to make content stand out?
You know, Kiki, this might be a surprising answer and might go against the grain of what some other videographers would tell you, but I stand firm and fully believe that great content happens in the trenches before you even roll the cameras. And
Yeah.
what I mean by that is having an idea of where the video will live, when it will go out and be live for it to live. And the easiest way to do this is to come up with a consistent, reliable content calendar.
Mm.
And what I think made our most recent collaboration from Columbus really successful was we created the content, but it wasn't like we were just throwing it up as it came in.
Right.
I was funneling it over to you, and you had this consistent plan for it. So we had an idea of we were going to shoot all this content at ASAE, but what were we going to do with it? And we had that planned, and I think it made it successful because we had it in place before we started rolling.
It's so true. And I have to give credit to you too, because you asked some killer questions at the very beginning of this. When we started talking, you're like, okay, so what are you thinking about? When are you going to get it out? And what channels are you going to use? And I said, and I told you like what I was thinking. And then as happens when you're in the middle of things happening, you've got a live event and there's a new opportunity that comes into play. When we had to make a shift or a change, or there was an opportunity to add additional video, then we adjusted. And I think that agility, that ability to be flexible too, you have your structured plan and then the ability to then, throw some cool stuff on top of it if you need to. Like, you can do that when you have some kind of structure in place.
Yeah, I think that was actually one of the beauties of a conference like ASAE is you don't know what to expect until you're there, because in Columbus there were literally thousands of people, and I have to give kudos to Tom. He found some really incredible stories just by talking to people on the showroom floor,
Yeah.
and that's what you have to do at large events like that if you're trying to unearth these stories is just talk to people and connect with them.
Yeah, and I think that that's something that maybe people feel a little hesitant about because they don't want to bother people and they don't know how do you suss out, who to approach? How do you go about finding the right person to come on camera? And so do you have recommendations for people when they're trying to figure out how to identify those stories?
Yeah, there's no real science behind it. I think it's just kind of a gut feeling. You
Yeah.
can get a lot just by talking with the person casually. As far as you walk up to a booth and just ask them, "What's your story? How did you get to where you are now?"
Yeah.
And asking specific questions to get them talking, just get them to open up and share a little bit of their heart with you, and you can catch on really quickly if they're going to be comfortable talking and telling that story on camera.
Have you seen people like and their reactions to cameras change over time? Like while you've been capturing people on video, do you notice if it's getting easier or more difficult, or how people are approaching cameras, or is it just staying the same?
As far as time as in the last few years,
Yeah,
has it changed?
yeah. Oh, did it freeze? Or is it just me? I don't know if it's you or me. Okay, thank you. Can you see me moving? Ah, okay.
Heck.
Okay, you're back. Yay. I was like, wait, is it him or is it me? I just don't know.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
were frozen my end. Interesting.
Yeah. So anyway, the last thing I heard was really leading into has it changed over the past few years? And I didn't hear anything after that.
Yeah, I think it has.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, with the technology, the smartphones, everyone has a smartphone these days, and it's so easy to consume content on your phone. And I think it's become a heck of a lot easier to create content with your phone too. So I think there's this growth of comfort being in front of a camera just because we have it with us all the time, and it's become the norm to just whip your phone out and record a selfie for social media and things of that nature.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, when I see people, it seems like a lot more people seem perfectly comfortable with just getting out in front of the camera. And I mean, even know which angles they look good at. I mean, who knew that back in the day? But it definitely was something that wasn't always the case. And now more and more people have an idea of like, which way they look best on camera. And that has to be good for, if you're in the business of trying to capture a good video.
I agree 100%. It's a lot easier not having to break the barrier and really get them to calm down, and it's going to be okay. It's definitely gotten a lot easier.
So one of the things that I know that you talk about with people is this Hollywood method, the Hollywood method for video.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So this goes back to my journalism days and asking questions. And I found over the years that there are three things that help people become comfortable and even a step further becoming vulnerable.
Mhm.
And prime example, I had the opportunity to interview NFL Hall of Famer Ray Lewis, big football guy, and we were at his mansion. Ray Lewis has an incredible house, and we were set up by his pool. And I've never talked to Ray before, but the three things that helped have a really great interview with Ray is, first thing, ask open-ended questions. A lot of people, I see quite a bit of people will send over questions ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
In my world, that's a big no-no, because you have people that will try and memorize, and they're reciting it on camera or on audio, and it sounds very robotic. The second thing is the element of surprise. So don't send them the questions ahead of time. And as we're having conversations like we are now, just ask questions that come up in the natural progression of any conversation, just like a normal conversation if we're having it in person.
Yeah.
And the third thing that helps with the vulnerability factor, and this gets a little uncomfortable, and it's good to get uncomfortable, is silence is golden in an interview, especially when the camera is rolling, because if you ask a question, someone eventually is going to fill the silence, and you don't want it to be you. So ask the question, then just zip it. You'd be surprised how much comes out, how much gold content comes out if you just let them fill. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so hard. That is really hard. And I have to say that, like, it's probably something that I'll hear myself continue to go on, and I'll have to just bring it back, Kiki. And it happens all the time. And I'm like, give them a chance. You've only got a small period of time. So it's like, you want to give them the chance to fill in that space. You don't want to, and it's a difficult dance, because you want people to feel it's a natural thing in normal conversation to want to make the other person feel comfortable. So you try to avoid the silence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the Hollywood method, you put that into play. You're doing the things, you're asking the open-ended questions. You're not giving them the chance to just give the usual type of, practiced response, and you're allowing for silence. What about when you're in a situation and you say, I cannot believe that this person's in front of me. I've only got my camera. I like my phone with me. How can people get the best kind of video footage when they're in that situation? Because more and more these days that happens, where, you're in a situation, it's a one of a kind kind of thing. You don't have a great camera setup, but you've got your phone. What can people do?
People, I think, underestimate the power of their smartphones and our mobile devices that we have at our fingertips all the time. So if you're in a situation like that, there are a ton of benefits of using your phone to create content in the moment. And we can delve into some of the apps that I recommend for your smartphone, because I see Will, who's tuned in with us, has a smartphone for some smartphone making, which I think is awesome. But the first thing is identifying there's this opportunity in front of you, and not worrying that, I'm going to film it on my phone, it's not going to look good. I think overcoming those thoughts of, it's just my phone, it's not going to look good, is the first start, because there's so much you can do with your phones.
Yeah, you got to jump over the hurdle and say, okay, my phone's okay. I'm going to be fine with that. And so what's the number one app that you recommend that people use if they're trying to get good video?
I love that question. I get asked it all the time. What apps do you use? What equipment do you use? And this is the one that I recommend first to everyone. Mm-hmm. It's called Filmic Pro. Filmic Pro. And it's one of the paid apps. I know these days people don't like paying for apps, but this one is well worth it. I think at the time I bought it, it was like $15. And it unlocks so much capabilities on your iPhone or your Android device that the native camera apps don't allow you to have control over.
Really?
So Filmic Pro is worth the $15 investment for that instance. If you're out at an event, or if you just come across someone, you're like, oh man, I wish I could talk to this person on camera. Filmic Pro really is a game changer when it comes to the mobile filmmaking scene.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try that out because I actually really love exploring different apps and trying different things. And it's one of the things that I don't know if I'm always successful at all of the things I try, but I definitely like to test a lot of things out all the time. It's like one of my favorite things to do. Yay! And so we see, so William is posting the link. So if you are on Crowdcast, you can check out the link right there. And it's, if you're listening to this later, it's Filmic Pro.com/Filmic Pro slash. Okay. Nice. I'm definitely going to go check that out. So, okay, so you've got your equipment, you've captured your video, you come back and you say, "You know what? This is great, but I have an idea. I want to create some really great content that's meaningful, that's effective, and I need a pro for this. I need to work with Paul." So, Paul, when people come to you and they want to make the absolute most out of whatever project it is that they're going to do, how can they do that? What are the questions you ask? What are the things that they need to be thinking about in order to make the most out of any video project?
Yeah, I think it goes back to what we said a few moments ago as far as thinking ahead of time where the content will live. Also thinking about who is your target audience. A lot of people want to capture all the fish in the
Mm-hmm.
sea. And I have this analogy that you're in a big basketball arena and there's a lot of fans around. You're trying to catch everyone in the stadium. You want to find that one person who has the face paint on, the crazy wig, and they're just going bonkers in the stadium. You want to try and target that person with your content. So who is the person that you're trying to reach? So we'll really work through who's the ideal audience, what's the one key message. That's something that people, they want to tell everyone everything all at once and
Yeah,
just make it simple with one key message. Who's the audience? Where's the content going to live? So there's a lot of pre-production stuff that we really hone in on to make sure we know where it's going to live and we're getting the biggest bang for our buck.
I love that. I love that. And I see, so as we have more people who have joined, I just want to remind everyone that you can go over to the polls, skip on over to the polls. And these are voting polls that you don't have to be afraid of. They're very simple questions, about 4 different questions that you can answer. The first one is, do you feel like you know how to make the most of your video content? Yes or no. The second is, of course, do you want to be added to the association chat mailing list, which I hope you all do if you're not already on it. The third is asking about, would you like to participate in the association chat costume party in October? I'm trying to figure out whether or not people want to make this happen, really want to make this happen. And then the fourth question is, are you currently using video in your marketing efforts? So far, we've had 3 votes for yes, they are using video in their marketing efforts, which is fantastic because video is really particularly effective. Can you talk to me a little bit about why? Why is it that video is something that we need to be considering for our marketing arsenal?
I'll tell you what, I'm pumped to hear people
Toolbox.
are using video
Yes.
in their marketing toolbox because obviously being a video guy, I'm kind of biased towards video and I see the power in it.
Yeah.
I think video allows you to tell stories, rather showcase the stories rather than telling the stories. It's like comparing the white page with black text in a book compared to a moving image that can tell so much more of a story in literally seconds. I think it's very powerful. Video is it's progressed so much over the last few years to see going from VHS to the DVDs to now you can create content on your phone. And the other thing I love about video and why it's so effective is it's a lot faster. You
Yeah.
can tell a story quicker and it will save you time to tell that story. So if it's content you're creating on your phone, you can tell that story much quicker than you could writing a blog post or writing an email in most cases.
Yeah, there's something, I mean, it is biological where as humans, the moving image captures our eye, and being able to use that attention, which is so hard to get these days, to use that attention to bring people in. To your point, you're saying when you were talking about this idea of you really are wanting to reach a specific segment, these are your fans. There's the Kevin Kelly, 1,000 true fans. You want to reach that group who really want to hear your message, who are the ideal person to hear your message, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're trying to reach out to them and get their attention, how do you break through all the noise? And I think the power of the moving images is just that. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
So
it's fun to see. I was just
yeah.
going to say it's fun to me. I've noticed this personally in my own personal life when I'm on Facebook or Instagram's all photos and videos, but on Facebook, I've noticed that I'm drawn a lot more to video. And I don't know if that's because I'm in the video industry professionally or if it's something that people are more drawn to these days, but I will scroll past just regular text posts now. And if I see a video, and obviously they automatically play on Facebook at this current time, those are what I call thumb stoppers. And
Yeah.
you can very easily create thumb stoppers to be in someone's feed to get your message seen. So I think that's just something interesting I've noticed about myself recently is I'll definitely stop and watch a video, but text post, forget about it. I'll scroll past those bad boys all day.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm much the same. And I think that especially video with captions, because if it has the captions, I love the ability to feel like I don't have to there's something about it that makes me feel even more productive in a way. And this is kind of a weird approach. I understand why captions are good, because a lot of us are, either in transit or we're like in bed and we don't want to have the noise up so that everybody can hear everything we're listening to. So we need the captions. I understand the functional reason for this, but on a psychological note, and I don't know if this is just me or what, there's something about it that makes me feel like, oh, I'm extra smart or something because I am reading through this video and I'm really getting the whole story, even though I don't have the sound on. And I like intellectually know that doesn't make sense, but it still makes me feel like I've accomplished more. So that, has to be good because it's making you walk away from it feeling good about yourself. Like, oh, that was really interesting. I learned something. So when you are looking at creating content for folks, what kind of projects get you excited? Because you probably are approached about all kinds of different things. What are some projects that you personally are like, oh, yes, I want to do more of this?
Yeah. There are projects that I don't get excited about. For example, I don't get excited by music videos or wedding videos or an event where I just set up the camera and that's it.
Yeah.
I get excited when I'm able to work and collaborate with someone to unearth a really powerful story. So, prime example, I've worked with a couple of associations and member organizations have incredible stories that always blow my mind. So it's really finding what stories will resonate with potential members, even current members, so that we're kind of killing two birds with one stone. So it's really story-driven content that gets me really excited to get behind the camera and show and share someone else's stories.
Yeah, I love that because I think that I think the storytelling aspect of it, you're so right. I've never run into an association that doesn't have really great stories to tell, mostly because it wouldn't exist if they didn't. And so we have William who's saying a 30-minute interview can be used to create a half a dozen 2-minute golden nuggets for social thumb stoppers, as you say, Paul. Yeah, absolutely. There's so much you can do with video. And I think what people forget too, and I use this all the time with association chat, is that, a lot of times people will say, why do you bother with the video part of it? And here's the thing, because the truth is, if you just look at the numbers, there are way more people who download and listen to association chat than watch it live. However, how people feel and relate to the people involved with association chat, and recognizing those people when they see them out and about, they'll see the images even for a second, even if they see just a clip of this and actually listen to the audio later. There's something about it that helps to build the relationship and make it stronger. I really fully believe in that. And so I think that video is so important because you can always pull the video or pull the audio from the video, but you can't add video. I mean, it's harder to add the video later, right? So
Yeah, I love that phrase.
yeah.
And if I can jump in here, just because we've talked about a couple of things that really resonate with me and I think can provide a lot of value to people that are watching and or listening, is we mentioned the captioning, which I think is crucial. And William just brought up something that I've done with a lot of content that I think a lot of people should do. So I just wanted to recap. If you've been at a conference like ASAE Annual and you have video, there are ways that you can get more mileage out of it. You can expand your reach. And one of the ways is I use a service called rev.com. Are you familiar with Rev, Kiki?
That's what I use. Yes. Yes.
So if you have a video, imagine it's a 20-minute talk that you gave at a conference or workshop. You can upload that to Rev, and it actually gives you the option to not only get a full transcript, but you can get a caption that you can upload with the video, like you were just mentioning on Facebook and or LinkedIn. But the beauty of having the transcript is you can create very easily, much easier, an email blast or a blog post to go on your website. So it's not only just the video, but having the captions, then it's more accessible, right? And then very easy to create a text email blast or a blog.
Yes.
Then taking that longer piece and cutting it to snack size. I call it snack size. I don't know why I like that. Snack size content that you can put on social and take the full audio and video and upload it into multiple places. I know you do that with the association chat interviews. It's not just live on Crowdcast. You're downloading this, you're putting it on YouTube, and you're getting a lot more mileage out of it because you're using it in multiple places, which I think is really effective.
It is so effective. And I mean, people might look in one spot or another, but the point is that I'm reaching people where they are. And one thing about what you were saying, and I just want to really specify this for people, SEO guys, like if you're posting this on your website and you have in your show notes the transcript, or you have, I mean, every keyword, everything that's mentioned, there's a reason why you'll see really smart podcasters putting the transcript below, because there's cost, there's time that's involved in doing that, but there's a reason why you do it. Beyond just being helpful. And that's because it's great for SEO, because it's taking the entire conversation. You don't have to think of all the keywords, they're in there. And it's putting that, in a way where people can find it, and, Google's loving you for it, and it helps with that. So there are a million different reasons why you want to think about captioning. It does make it more accessible whenever you're thinking about trying to be more inclusive and bringing people in, maybe people who have issues with their hearing and they need to have those captions there. So many reasons why this is a good thing. And so I think even though it's more time and more money involved, it's worth it every single time. So I love that. When you're thinking about, so say you take ASAE Annual. I haven't asked you this yet, Paul. So I was just throwing this out there. When you're taking a look at like what we did specifically at ASAE Annual, and you're thinking, okay, I want to now take the work that we did, which we have beautiful interviews. We have some, some more, I don't know what you call it, like atmospheric shots, where it's like slice of life, where it's different shots that were a blend of different things that were happening around that you captured. We have some live feed stuff that came in from different people who were doing interviews or reporting back live to the Facebook group, the private group. So now I've got all of this different type of these types of content, all of these different types of video. So what's the net? Like, what could I do that would really shake things up with the video that we already have?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for asking that. I get excited when I hear people, they want to figure out how to leverage the video that they already have.
Yeah.
I think the very first thing that comes to mind is some of the interviews were longer. We had 5-minute interviews. Some were shorter, 2 minutes. Some of the sit-down interviews with Tom were longer. So I would go in and pull out the snack size snippets, something that was really interesting that might relate with an association chat member, and include that in an email blast for starters.
Yes. Brilliant. I wish I had like, oh, you know what? I do. I have this. So ding. That was perfect. That was perfect. I love it. Perfect answer. Yeah. I think so that's what I'm doing next. This is great. This is how I'm getting my marketing ideas, you guys. So yeah, think about how you can continue to leverage that. But thinking back about it, so let's keep playing. So then I could go and I could look at that video that was captured, and I could reach out to those people and say, hey, I really liked this video. I thought it was fantastic. I wanted to follow up with another question from you. If you're, open to it, what do you think about X? And it would be another touch point, another reason to sort of tell the rest of the story and then share that with people. And I think, continuing that story on, because we ran into some interesting stories while we were there. I wasn't even there on site while you were there, while you and Tom were there. Yeah. So what are some, I know that I said that this was going to be 30 minutes, and I know we're a little bit over, but I want to ask you just one final question before we wrap things up. This is kind of a shorter chat today, but I'm definitely going to have Paul back. So in conclusion, as we pull things together, when people are thinking about their video content, what's probably the one big thing you want them to walk away from this conversation knowing? I know that's a hardcore question. I should have really warned you that I was going to ask that, but it just hit me.
Yeah, there's something that I've talked a lot about with people that are in my inner circle and some business groups that I'm in, is they have this camera anxiety. And I was at a video influencers conference training just a few months ago, and they talked about the 3 R's to overcome camera anxiety. I know we didn't talk about this in our conversation, but this is what I would want people to walk away with: is the fear of creating content, or the fear of getting on camera, I think stops a lot of people from creating content in general. So the 3 R's, one is to remind yourself is you have value to provide. You are, for your organization or association to be successful, does what you have to say make an impact? Your heart to serve people will make a difference. So remind yourself is the first thing. And the second thing is rewatch it. Don't do it. People have this immediate tendency when they record something to rewatch it. Just don't do it. They made up the second R, but I really like it because your time can be used elsewhere rather than being super critical of yourself. Yeah. I know I could watch this replay back and be like, oh, dang, I could have said something way different. Yeah. But then I'm just wasting that time on something else. The third R is repetition. They told us at the training that it usually takes about 5 videos to get really comfortable in front of the camera. So after 5 videos, you'll be flowing. So it's the repetition that will get you started. So don't be scared. Video is really great and it can do powerful things for you and your organization.
It really can. Paul, thank you so much for joining us today and talking with me about this. We already talked about it before we even went live. I've already got you on the hook to come back and talk some more. I don't know about the rest of you. Maybe you can write in the comments what you think, but I personally feel like I can learn so much more. I want to learn so much more about video, how to make the most of it, what I can do with it, ideas that I can use to apply to everything else that I'm doing. And it's just really remarkable. Paul, you make it sound so easy, but and I'll say this, I've worked with a lot of different videographers over the years, and you really have a great eye, and you are super humble, and I really appreciate your time today so much. When people want to reach out to you, yes, Heather's saying, how do we get in touch with Paul? May have a project for him. Yes, Paul definitely wants to hear back from you. Yeah, how can people reach you?
The easiest way to get in touch is my website, which is kingedits.com. That's plural, kingedits.com. I'm very open and willing to share the information that I have learned over the last decade and spent a lot of money learning. So for those of you that are listening, I would be completely happy to do a free 15-minute strategy call. So if you go to kingedits.com/association, there's a special free strategy session for association chat members.
Oh, that's so awesome. Thank you so much, Paul. And everyone, if you haven't filled out the polls, please go and fill those out. I want to make sure I have everyone's permission if you want to opt into the mailing list, and to just let us know a little bit more about that. Thank you so much, Paul. And until next time, everyone, keep learning every day. As Joseph Campbell once said, the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek. Yes. Have a great week, everyone. Thank you, Paul.
My pleasure, Kiki. Thanks for having me.